Maybe you guys are feeling the dissonance between a world where God's will reigns and the world we're currently occupying. I've worried long and hard about what I, as your spiritual leader, could possibly have to say to you after the week we've had. And I felt kind of ashamed that I didn't say enough last week. It's hard to know what to say, how to say it. But I do want to mourn the killings of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and condemn the brutal and senseless ways in which their lives were taken. I mean, I empathize with the protesters, but I also don't think it's right that some of them should go so far in their anger as to burn city buses and public buildings, to steal things, or to speak with incendiary blanket hatred towards all police. Here's where I come from as a Christian. Paul puts it well when he writes to the Corinthian church, "We preach Christ crucified, which is a scandal to the Jews and foolishness to the Gentiles." See, the first part of the good news of Jesus Christ is about news that couldn't possibly be good. Right? It's about the public execution of a person of color. And that's right, Jesus was not white, he was a Middle Eastern Jew. Not to push that too far. But he was murdered by a system that saw his message as a threat. And that was a message of reconciliation between Jews and Samaritans and Gentiles. It was a message which directly taught love of enemies, release to captives, liberation of the oppressed. It was a message that proclaimed forgiveness of sins, abundance of grace, and called all who heard to open their ears and eyes to a new possibility in God. A way of living beyond and better than that which they currently knew and experienced. It's a way of living that would require their faith and their work to bring what is possible into the realm of reality. Powers that be were intimidated. They were frightened. So they slandered Jesus. They tried to trick him into saying the wrong thing so that they could either discredit him as a man of God, obviously not having a solid grasp of what the scriptures say, or they could persecute him and have him arrested and tried for treason as an enemy of the state. If you have wanted to speak up in support for and love of our black brothers and sisters, to affirm that black lives do matter, to condemn the quick use of violence and tear gas by police forces and unarmed civilians, but you've also felt uncomfortable watching videos of protesters throwing things at police, demolishing and vandalizing public buildings and structures, and promoting an attitude of F the police, then I'm guessing you might be able to relate to how Jesus felt most of the time. As his disciples looked to him for wisdom, the Pharisees scrutinized his words for blasphemy, and the Roman authorities wanted to pounce on him for treason and sedition. What do you say? And how do you say it? How are we supposed to think and feel, much less act right now? Where, O God, is your peace? If God were to search us and know us right now, what would be found? Before I continue, I'd like to invite us for a moment to do just that, to look honestly at our thoughts and feelings and to see if there are any wicked ways within us, ways which could weigh heavy on our hope, cause our faith to falter, make us pessimistic about the possibility of God's plan ever coming to fruition. Fearing no judgment from anyone but God, let us approach God with honesty and humility. but know that the God who judges us has already procured our release in Jesus Christ. Trusting in God's grace, let us get this out. Take a moment to confess our sins. A moment of silence.